for Miss Benita, y'all. You know, the older people always trying to give you advice, or you have to cipher what they're saying. I have an auntie, when she talks, we have to go back and ask her, what does that mean? She got into a fight, her and her husband. She say, he's sitting up there, thought he was gonna glaze me like a donut. We say, glaze you like a donut? What that mean? So, well, yeah, she thought he was just gonna knock me down. I said, okay, so we figured that out. She turned around, told me he gave me a 2-piece. I say, what, he gave you some chicken wings and a biscuit? She say, no, he punched me in my face. Then she turned around and she say, okay, I'm gonna see if y'all can handle this. So we say, what is it, A.T.? She say, he's sitting up there, thought I was tall and sexy. She about real short, talking, but I got these long legs. I say, no, A.T., them ain't long legs. She say, well, when they go up in the air, they get real long to him. Again, old people say things that just don't make no sense. I told my grandmother, I say, Grandma, I'm really in love with this man. I say, but I think he's cheating on me. She say, lie low, catch melons. I say, huh? She say, lie low, catch melons. I say, Grandma, what that mean? She say, lie low, and you will catch melons. If you lie low, you will catch that woman that's meddling with your husband. I say, okay. Some things that do work for you when it's cipher out when you get a little bit older. In a relationship, as I stated, relationships are overrated. Ladies, have you ever been so in love with a man? I mean, so in love with a man, you like, everything that he did was just so cute. Oh, he folded his socks. Oh, he made the bed. Until 5 years into the relationship and the bed messed up and the socks thrown on the floor. But then when you love him so much, when he decides to leave you, you like, man, what am I gonna do? Have you ever been in a relationship to the point to where you cried? But then you cry so bad, so hard, it make your throat hurt and your head hurt. And this man ain't crying at all. And you ask him, you like, do you love me? Why is it that you're not crying? He goes, I love me more than I love you, and I ain't making myself unhappy. So, again, y'all, I'm comedian Miss Tiffany. Keep supporting Miss Benita. Give a round of applause for the band, y'all.
You wanna hate where I'm going, but you just don't understand. With a dirty, nasty little girl, what the hell, I'm just a man. Don't make it rain when she stressed for me. I'm going straight to hell every time she hits a nail. Stages and cages.
Stages and cages. Stages and cages. That's okay, you don't have to do that.
Stages and cages.
Stages and cages.
I'll be all day. Y'all want to hear me sing something sexy? I like that. Get one for my bedroom.
He took my toy away. Thank you. Hey, come up here. Ben, come up here. Tell us who you are, one by one. Tell us who you are and why you do what you do.
Well, obviously, I'm the drummer. No, my name's Tim. I'm the lead singer of this band. And we do what we do to get a message across. Yeah, we've got some fun songs, but we've got a lot of real-life songs. And we love playing music. And I'll play in front of one person. I'll play in front of 50,000 because we've done it. And that's what we do.
I'm Dan, I play bass, and this is my addiction.
I'm Justin, and I've always enjoyed music, and it's just something that I love to do, so I do it for me, not for anybody else.
I'm Brian, I'm the drummer. I actually started playing because I wanted to play in a drum corps, and then I just let in the other instruments, and just like anything else, it's like an emotional feeling for me. That's why I play music. It makes me feel good, and I like to make people feel good when we play music.
My name's JT. I play guitar, and the reason why I play guitar is because I started out with a violin, but girls really don't like guys that play violin.
Is that why my son stopped playing the violin? Did you? I love the violin. They're missing out then. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Benita Show. Thank you for bringing us some live in here. Thank you. Now, we're gonna do it. We are going to do it. Shh. The grown-ups are talking. It's the theme of this part of the show. Before I go any further, we have some everybody in here is a superstar, first of all, okay? But we have some super mega superstars in the room. We have Bobby Mcferrin. Do y'all know Bobby Mcferrin? Don't worry, be happy. We have his sister and his cousin in the room, Brenda Mcferrin and Richard Thomas. Thank you. It's an honor to have you all here. Thank you, Richard, for bringing them. Thank you. His lovely wife is here too. Forgive me, his lovely wife. First up, we're gonna have Christopher Kaiser. Come on up, author Christopher Kaiser. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Have a seat, Christopher. He wrote a book with his little bad boy, Dirty Little Sex Secrets. Oh. In this book, which is a lot of fun, you know how women talk about sex all the time, and men rarely do? Well, he found a group of men who were willing to share their little sex secrets and things that make them happy. Ooh. And Christopher is going to tell us, well, first of all, tell us about you, Christopher.
I started writing when I was a young kid. I wrote about any and everything. What helped me write this book here, well, you know, we're sitting around, guys talk, brag, laugh, joke. And so one guy brought up a story. Another guy was telling their story, and I happened to tell a few stories, but the guys was interested, like, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we put a book together and talk about what we do, what we've been through, and how our sex lives has been influenced by these women, because women, they discuss with their girls about what guys do. So it was just a turnaround. It was something different, and I didn't know too many men that wanted to actually tell what they felt.
Tell us what's one of your favorite stories in here, and yeah, just tell us one of your favorite stories and what it's about.
I was one story that stood out, and it deals with men and women relationships. It was a story about a lady named Miss Confused. And the reason that she was confused was because of the fact that intimately she was wild. She had this nature, this exotic, erotic side of her that made the man and the woman between them compatible. But when it came to the emotional part, as far as the relationship area, it pushed him away because of how she was.
Now, when you and all your guy buddies was getting together and writing about these books, do you guys do you catch a lot of guys that tell a lot of fabrications in their sexual journeys? Y'all like that?
Sitting there looking at each and every last one of them, you could tell who was telling the truth and you could tell who exaggerated a little bit.
Anybody out there have any questions for Christopher and his dirty little sex secrets?
Benita may have already asked you this, but what story sticks out in your mind? Or once you've written this book, like what's a story that your audience has come up to you and say, this sticks out in my mind, or what are your thoughts on this?
There was another story called Miss Heartbreaker. He was in love with this woman, and he did everything for her. He was her knight in shining armor, but in the hopes that they would be together, but she had belonged to another.
Which particular age group did you go for? Was it more of your age group? Did you get an older gentleman's opinion? And how did your mama feel about you writing something like that?
Well, I know my mother's gonna be watching this. I dealt with my age group. I'm not afraid to say my age. I'm 32 years old. 30s, maybe a little younger, like maybe 25 and up. But and I dealt with older, like the one gentleman who talked about the various women. He was an older man who'd been around for some years.
Do men, just generally speaking, and maybe from your experiences of talking to some of the guys in that book, do they tend to want a woman who's already, I guess, seasoned or like to have a lot of fun in the bedroom, or do they want someone that they can so-called turn out? I don't know. What, Dr. Brown? Teach. Thank you. Dr. Brown has put it in a more educated term on it. Yeah. Do they prefer women who they like, to know that they have taught something that they can teach, or someone who's already ready to roll?
I would say it's half and half. Some actually want, like, come on with it. Come on, show me what you got. They want to get into it. They want some experience. They want to know if you can turn them out. And then there's some that actually enjoy teaching someone because they know what they like and they know what they want.
Without disclosing everything in your book, can you give us some specifics? I mean, you've done an excellent job, Mr. Politician, at dancing around the question, but we want a direct answer, sir.
I will say situations like different positions they enjoy, situations, locations such as cars and showers and I would say friend's house, apartment buildings, different places.
The whole sexcapade began with a kiss. These kisses then led to ripping off each other's clothes, to us falling onto the bed. She climbed on top of me and began riding me with this look on her face like she couldn't believe what was happening. And I think I'm gonna stop right there.
There you have it.
So do you find that it's difficult for the men to actually have a conversation with the women that they've had sex with about what they want? Or is it just all action, let's just have sex? Or can they really just sit down and talk and say, this is what I like, let's try this, let's try that? Do they communicate about sex with the women in their lives?
It's all depending on the individuality. Some of the ladies, they want you to come through the door and not say a word and just start. Some of the guys that felt like, yeah, they can sit down and talk about it and say, hey, I need you to be more reliable. I need you to not be lazy. I need you to actually participate and interact. You know, some men love interaction. Because it's not easy sometimes, because of the fact that when you do talk to a woman about it, us guys be like, yeah, and she goes into this and she goes into that, and then she turns it around and change it and make it seem like it was your fault. I'm like, really, you know? But if they would actually just let us talk and listen, and we can actually come to some understanding, it probably would be better that way. But some just like action, and some will talk, but it all depends on the individual.
Any other questions? Because we're gonna move on to our next author, our next hot topic. Any more questions? Okay, we have joining us now is a Chicago best-selling erotic thriller author, Miss Author Felice Tamra J. Come on up, Tamra. Welcome to our side of the world, Miss Tamra. I have her books. She made sure that I got some autographed copies of her book, Fatal Fantasies 1 and 2. She has about 18 pages of Fatal Fantasies 2 out there. I said that was wrong. That was wrong to give me 18 pages. And I'm like, she's like, that'll make you buy the book. But she's giving me copies now, so I cannot wait. I'm gonna read this whole thing tonight, I know. So anyway, tell us about you, Miss Tamra J.
As she just stated, I'm from Chicago. I'm a mother of 2, and I also have 2 stepchildren. I'm also a writer, director, actress, and a producer. I have successfully written, directed, and produced 3 stage plays. I just written, directed my first suspense thriller. It's a film that will be coming out this fall. It's called I'm Coming for You, and my novels as well.
What made you decide to start writing about erotic thrillers?
Well, actually, it started when I was a kid. My mom, she was a big fan of horror movies. So me being a child, I had no other choice but to go watch what she took me to see. So the suspense thrillers and the horror movies started at my childhood age, and me remembering movies by Stephen King, if you all know about Cujo, Pet Sematary, Firestarter, and I remember all of those. And he's also, I'm a big fan of him. I read all of his novels. And also, I wrote my first play in the 6th grade. It was a Christmas play, and my 6th grade teacher let our class perform the play, and I wrote my second play in the 8th grade. And that's when I really started writing. And the erotic part comes from Zane. I know you all know about her. I love all of her novels, so that's where the suspense thriller and erotica comes in at. So I put them together. But another part of me that a lot of people may think is twisted from my childhood, I used to like freak my younger cousins out. I used to like scare them and things like that, make them sit around, tell spooky stories and stuff like that. So I always thought that one day, well, I'm not gonna think, I know, I'm gonna speak that into existence. I'll be the next female Stephen King. I'm gonna talk that.
So Fatal Fantasies, now, both of the books are a compilation of stories that end in fatal fantasy. So they pretty much decide on whether or not they're gonna continue with this sexual interlude or choose death. But tell us about some of those stories. Just give us a little taste of some of them.
I'll tell you about one story in my first book. It's a married couple. You know, they have their first child. They're married. Everything is going fine until she's at home on maternity leave. She can't work, so she's stuck in the house with the baby all the time. And he ends up sleeping with the neighbor down the street. You know, things like that happens in relationships. People, they sleeping, having affairs with the next door neighbor, your best friend's friend, your cousin's friend, and people can't handle certain things like that, especially if you are like really serious about their relationship. And then sometimes people like to do the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Hey, you cheat on me, I'm gonna cheat back on you. So, and other people can't deal with certain things like that. And in that story, that's what happens. She's hurt by the fact that her husband cheats on her. This new hot guy moves in next door. She does the same thing. But the story ends drastically. It's not a happy ending at all. It's not. Well, none of them are.
Out of any of the guys that she dealt with, did any of them live? Did she have a heart for him?
Well, it was just this one particular guy that she had a crush on when she was in high school. So, yeah, I could say he made it, but about this much. Yeah, but he made it. But after all that happened, they went away to college, and you got to read the book.
I like vampire novels. That's my secret. And I don't know if you guys have read Brotherhood, Black Dagger Brotherhood. Anybody read that series? Okay, well, these are adult vampire books, okay? And I've been like vampire stuff since I was a little girl. It's just vampires and werewolves, something about them. Anyway, these books are very adult vampire books. And there are a lot of vampire book fans out there. And there are people getting divorces because of these books. Yeah, because counselors are saying they're looking for what's in that book. They're looking for that fantasy lover. They're looking for, that to come home to them every day, and it was causing relationship problems. So I have to ask you, do you see your books being...
All the employees at my job have bought my book and they've read it. And they've actually come to me. I have Facebook friends that have purchased my books. And they will inbox me and be like, do you know that what you're writing in this book I'm going through right now? And I'm just saying, please don't kill him. Just don't do what's going on in my book, because, you read the stories, they are real. These women get hold of these men. They are in regular relationships, but they sleep with these other men that do things to them that they have never experienced sexually at all. And instead of them falling in love with them, which they think they are, it's lust. And that's what they're feeding off of. And when they can't get what they want, if the wife don't go away, the fiance, whatever, they will kill for what they want. And if they can't get the man, they'll get rid of the whole family, whatever. It's on the news. This stuff happens, But like I said, yeah, it's been problems where people have come to me and be like, hey, I'm leaving my guy because, I'm going through this right now, and all I can say is just don't kill him. Just don't kill him.
Woo! That's some steamy hot stuff right there. Okay, we have no more questions for Arthur Felice Tamara J. We're going to have our licensed counselor, sex therapist, Lindsay Walden. Come on up. Tell us about what you do, Ms. Walden.
So I am a licensed professional counselor in the state. I started off my work with a lot of sexual trauma and abuse and a lot of things actually that we heard about earlier, finding out that not only could I kind of bridge the gap between working with couples in trauma, but that also there were fields specifically devoted to sex therapy.
What is fringe?
So when I say fringe, I'm basically meaning outside of normative sex play. So if it is people who want to practice S&M, like 50 Shades of Grey type of activity, if it's, sadomasochism, or if it is like bondage and discipline, those kinds of things, they fall under a big heading either known as alternate or alt sex or fringe.
What is kink?
Kink is more specifically going to be, kind of the ideas of, it can be everything from like light spanking to let me handcuff you and tie you up and flog you with something to let me cut you and draw blood. There's lots of things that fall under that heading.
Have you had the opportunity to counsel a couple that may again be truly in love with each other, but one has an aversion to oral sex and the other one does not, in that one is okay with receiving but does not want to be a giver?
So with oral sex specifically, if there's really truly an aversion and it's we've tried the bath idea, and we've kind of tried, making sure that we're clean and there's no infections and, things that we would go to, then we really might want to start looking at, almost from an individual perspective, if someone is so averse to it that even though their partner is saying, I am willing to, figure out a way to make this work, I'm open to it, then I would really want to try and underlyingly get into, what is it that's causing such a block? And I think it would be hard to answer for sure without knowing a specific case. But definitely, wanting to know what causes such an aversion. It could be maybe some underlying trauma. It could be potentially a bad or negative experience. I think something I've had happen a lot is, the female may say, this happened recently with a couple, I really, I'll go down on him, why won't he go down on me? And, and I kind of asked, well, what's up with that, And he said, well, I don't really like it. And I said, okay, but put yourself in her shoes for just a second. She's basically saying, not that it's my favorite thing to do all day long every day, but I will do this and I want to pleasure you in this way. Where's the discrepancy?
The general, and maybe this may betray my own parochial belonging, but the general tendency is that, or the mindset is that if you really love your spouse, then you would have great sex. Now, do you find in your experience that that is the case, or do you have people who come in that love each other to death, but still do not have great sex?
At the end of the day, if this person who you're coming to therapy with and wanting to have this great sex with, if the sex part went away, would you want to be friends? Do you care how that person is? Would you even want to talk to them if you happened to be at a party and they were there and you hadn't seen each other in a while, that kind of thing? And more times than not, when I ask that question, it kind of reframes it, because our bodies are not always going to physically respond the way that we want them to, or that we ideally would hope they would, or script them to. But if we genuinely love and care about that person, then it becomes about something greater than just the love. It's what do we do with it? And I hope that kind of answers, but I think the love is great. There's just it's like it needs some extra seasoning in there.
Thank you all so much for coming out to the Benita Show. Thank you. A round of applause for our great band. Thank you. And for our awesome guests. Thank you.